Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to do a quick update on the May challenge of 50 books. And so far I just recently yesterday I finished my 10th book for the challenge. Now, for this challenge I have been choosing um, pretty easy books like CJ Box, James Patterson. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Maybe Robert Jordan I had picked up. I don't even remember. I'll leave probably on the thumbnail a picture of the books because they're being returned to the library and don't need them anymore. But I would say the James Patterson books were the easiest to read as far as reading fast goes. I was able to read two of them in one day, and but I'm still not quite. It's the eighth now, and I'm falling behind even with 10 books read already in order to achieve the 50 books. But I just wanted to say a few things. I mean, I'm probably going to take out 15 more books at the library today. Some of them I will be looking for slimmer volumes instead of books that are around 400 pages. Maybe I'll look for stuff that's 200 something, maybe less than 300. Again, the challenge here is even for me, I already have a pretty strong reading habit, but I want to develop more so of a reading habit. But also, I was thinking as I'm doing this challenge, I want to develop the habit of creating challenges to engage me in different reading. So, the kind of books I'm reading right now, these slim, fast thriller novels that are modern writers, contemporary authors, people who are still alive, um, I've never read these books before in earnest. I've never really read them back to back. I often don't care for such books. So this kind of brought me out of my comfort zone in terms of what I like to read, and I think I've been able to um, do. So far, it feels like I'm achieving something, in that I'm rediscovering what it's like to just go to the library or wherever you're at and just grabbing stuff, like not even really thinking about it, just grabbing books for the sake of reading stuff. If something gives you an impulsive feel of like, hey, I might read that, then just grab it and read it. Now, what I'm not doing for this 50 book challenge is I'm not DNFing books, which is did not finish. That stands for that. Um, so I'm not DNFing anything because I want to get through 50 actual books. But I'm also being careful in that I can't choose complicated, complex, or maybe good books in order to get through this. So for this challenge, it's getting me to just branch out because hey, maybe some of these books I will actually like. I think Stuart Woods was one of the authors I was reading. Anyway, the book title was New York Dead, and I really liked that title. I liked that story. It was a police officer detective who ended up becoming like his own lawyer, and it was an interesting enough story that kept me engaged. Now, his second book, Dirt, I didn't care for at all. There was way too much just gratuitous sex in it that um, just seems weird reading that book. And but CJ Box's books, they're about like a game warden out in Wyoming. I thought those were interesting because I don't really know. I don't. I've read westerns and I've read books about kind of the Midwest type places and wilderness places from over 100 years ago, but nothing contemporary. So it was kind of interesting, and I felt like his writing flow. It was easy to understand what he was talking about. Some of the other authors I had picked up, who sadly none of their names are coming to me right now, but some of the other authors that I read, um, I just don't think I'm going to read anything else by them. James Patterson is actually one of those authors. Even though I could probably easily breeze through this 50 book challenge reading James Patterson, I've read two of his novels now, Burn and something else. I don't know. I literally just finished it, and I don't remember the book title one of those dumb little book titles that's like Burn on Arrival or Heated Scent Stick, something like, I don't know. But it was, I found with his writing style where you're in page 328 and then you're entering into chapter 166. I don't like that. I don't like 3-page chapters. That's a bit too ADHD for my, even this challenge is reading goals. So I'm not going to read any more James Patterson. I didn't find him compelling enough compared to some of the other authors that I read. I didn't think that his stuff was interesting. And I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about, given these books that I've read, a quick point about challenges before I get to what I want to talk about with what I call boomer books, the books that I've been reading. So a point about the challenges, by challenging yourself, even if you're not doing the 50 books this month or 10 books or 5 books, I'm already thinking, what do I want to do as a challenge for next month? And next month, I'm thinking a textbook challenge. I have a couple textbooks I picked up months ago, and I want to get around to them. An accounting textbook and a statistics textbook. I want to get around to them sooner rather than later. So next June's going to be a textbook month. Wonderful news for anyone who's getting out of college in May, and in June you want to hit up the textbooks already. Well, you should be probably getting a head start. You should never stop. But I'm way outside of college, and I haven't picked up a textbook in a long time. So I'm gonna. I've read some textbooks, but not earnestly, not like trying to actually learn from them. So my goal next month is going to be to go through these textbooks and actually do the problems on them and really kind of try to learn actually. So for this month, I can just breeze through these kind of garbage beach reads and just see if I can actually achieve the amount of 50 books. One more thing I want to talk about with the number. I chose a high number like 50 rather than 100 because I wanted it to seem somewhat achievable, and I wanted it to seem like, I guess I wanted to get a taste for what is it like to read a book a day. I've never, even though I read tons, I've never actually read a solid book a day. I think the most books I've ever read in 1 year was maybe 140 something. But there are people who read a book a day. I found somebody on Goodreads who I saw that they had 4,700 some odd books read, like that they indicated that they had read. And I was curious, so I looked through the books that they read because you can see what people read. And they were every single book was basically these short, lightweight, Robert B. Parker, John Grisham, not Dorothy Parker, that's not lightweight, but all these, all those big names that you see, Lee Childs, whatever, all those names that you see in the library, all those hardbacks, and I'm thinking like, okay, so they've been reading since 2013 or 12 or 11, it might have been, on Goodreads, and so they basically been. I did the math. They've been reading a book a day for like 12, 13 years, and they've read almost 5,000 books. But the books just seem like what's the point in reading those books? I mean, I don't think they care. Probably, I don't think a person like that really cares about volume. They probably just like those books, and that's like watching a TV show every night to them. So, especially if you can speed read or read fairly quick, or if you're retired and you just have all day anyway, it does make sense. So, I'm not bashing that person. I just realize if I ever read, 4 times as many books as I've read, that kind of volume, I feel like I would want something out of that that's more than just I just read every fiction book in my library, and none of them are 100 years old. So I just don't know. I don't know how somebody can retain joy in such books over a long time. But then again, I watch the same kinds of science fiction and action and thriller movies all the time. So it's probably just kind of up that alley, or watching episodic shows. And that brings me to my next point about these boomer books that are basically every book that I had read was written by somebody who was either just older than the boomers. I think Stuart Woods was one of them. He's just older, but most of them were boomer authors. And I'm sure a lot of the books that I'll pick up at the library that are similar are going to be written by boomers. And I feel like I get a sense that here's a sense that I had when I was reading these books. I was going through these books. They felt like TV shows to me, or an equivalent. So I'm thinking back in the day when maybe you had cable television, but maybe a lot of people just didn't have cable television, and you just wanted to Law and Order or wasn't on, and you had your couple TV shows that you watch, Matlock or something, and you wanted a little extra. So then you would read your John Grisham or James Patterson or Danielle Steele or whatever it was. Then you would pick up that book. I feel like those books were written like TV shows that were episodic because they used the same character over different books, but each book is kind of its own thing. Like you don't have to read book number 1 in order to understand book number 2. Not really. So I felt like it's okay. It's like MacGyver. It's like just following this. Here's this character, and here's a bunch of silly situations he gets in, and that's how those books felt to me. So I feel like okay, these books they exist. I wonder if they're a microcosm of culture where they exist because of what a lot of boomers experienced growing up, or being adults, I should say, where you go to your 9 to 5 job, you expect to stay at that same job till retirement, and then you go to that job, you come home, and then you have maybe a couple TV shows you can watch on your 4 channels that you have. Maybe you go to a movie, maybe not, but essentially you're like, okay, I'm just going to read, but I don't really want to read a classic. I don't really want to read. I don't have to read anything for self improvement because I already have a job that's locked in. I already have a house. I'm basically doing what I want to do anyway. Because a lot of these characters, some of these characters, their thing that they did was going to the lake to fish and hunt and stuff like that. Their hobbies were very. None of them had the hobby of like playing video games or sports, or I don't know. None of them had. They had hobbies that were like middle class to upper middle class. I actually have assets and property, and I actually have a boat, and I actually have the means to take weekend trips and stuff like that. So I just felt like those books made a lot of sense for a particular audience that they were written for. And I get it. I think I get it. Like if I had a steady 9 to 5 job that I commuted to, and I knew I was going to work there till retirement, and I was a little bored. Everything was stable in my life. I was a little bored. I would probably like one of these books that you can read it in an evening, or over 2 evenings, and then you just pick up the next one because they churn them out so fast. And there's like 100 authors like this, and there's not much difference in their writing. And then go ahead, then you just that's what you enjoy. That's what you do in your free time as part of your 1 or 2 episodes you watch per night, because you didn't have access to 24/7 media quite like we do today. And certain niche things were accessible, but I don't know. Every boomer I've met doesn't really get in. None of them seem to have ever gotten into video games. None of them have ever really been heavy into computers that I have met, and this is a lot of rural and suburban type people, not really technology people. So I guess those are my thoughts on these boomer books that I've read. They kind of make sense to me now, and why I didn't really care for them so much, because I felt like there were so many interesting things happening in my life. I didn't need a trashy novel to add to that. So that might offer some explanation as to why those exist and why they're so prolific, and why I also anticipate them disappearing once the boomer generation is gone. I anticipate a lot of those books drying up if they're not already. That would be interesting to know the statistics of, and if that is the way things are going with the publishing industry. I just feel like, uh, I mean, I'm a huge book reader. I have no interest in such books, and when I've been pushing myself to read them now, I don't find myself getting more interested in them. I would rather watch a TV show like Law and Order, or I've been watching the recent Matlock. I mean, I enjoy that as much as, if not more, than these novels. Watching a good TV show, you might as well do that over reading like a James Patterson novel. I don't see what the Patterson novel is giving you that's superior to a TV show. And that's what I kind of think. Like when you're reading a book, it should be superior to your alternative entertainment options, and that's something that's I'm going to be thinking about as I select books in the future. So one final point I wanted to make here, and congratulations if you made this at this long in my speech, my little extemporaneous speech here. I do appreciate that. But I think my final point is I've been able to do my other things while I'm doing this challenge. Because these books, you can get through them so quickly if you have a little bit of speed reading talent. You can get through them so quickly that I've still been able to watch my soccer games. I've still been able to watch movies, TV shows. I've still been able to play my games. I've still been able to hang out with my family. I've still been working and taking care of other necessary needs, cooking, cleaning, just attending to daily activities in life. I haven't been spending every spare moment that I've possibly had in reading a book, my nose in a book. So that's been important to me in this challenge, is to try to achieve 50 books, but also to not feel like I'm spending every possible second in a book in order to achieve this goal. And so far, it's okay, and I'm a little under speed to get to 50, but because I think in the next week I need to read about 15 in order to be at 25, which is half of 50, and then I only have a few weeks, maybe a week, 2 weeks and a half after that to achieve the goal. But still going strong. Just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm 10 books in. Tonight, I'm going to head to the library and get myself another 15 books, and I'll probably be looking for some slimmer novels to read just to kind of get that number up a little bit. Again, this is really about practicing my speed reading. I'm not too embedded. I don't care too much about what I get out of these books that I'm reading. I did notice that a lot of these books, they very lovingly describe violent death and dead bodies, I notice. And then for some reason, it's very important to know what kind of ammunition goes in a gun, even though that makes no difference at all to the story. Like it's not like, oh, has like a 9 millimeter by 560 grain, whatever, and for this H&K pistol, and it's like I don't care. Like just say they have a gun and it shoots ammo. What is it? What difference does it make in your story if you're very specific about details like that? When it doesn't do anything, it's not like a Chekhov's gun where a gun has appeared, so it must be fired. Ammunition has been described down to the kind of grain that it has, so that's going to make a difference in the detectives searching who shot who. No, it never matters. It never matters. So it's just there's so much unnecessary fluff and detail that I really kind of despise when I read these books. But I'm learning more of what kind of taste I have. A lot of things I definitely don't like books that seem all over the place. That I don't like these kinds of fast-paced books that cover too many characters. I think that's why I like C.J. Box and New York Dead a bit better. New York Dead being from, I think, Stuart Woods. I keep forgetting the author's name. But I think I like those better because it followed one guy, basically, and it was very clear what was going on. I don't like James Patterson's jumping around. I don't like a few of the other authors I read jumping around different characters, and it just gets confusing, and they're not very clear in the way they write. And these are not the kind of books that I want to slow down my reading. I'm not trying to take a slow pace reading these books. Like I'm not doing that. It's not worth it. A book that I want to read slowly is going to be a book that I'm really going to get something out of, like a textbook. So, anyways, thank you for watching this. This is an update. I will update again when I get through the next chunk of books, and we'll see how my views have changed by then. Thank you. Bye.